What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Call to Action Live, our flagship show here on the Call to Action podcast or Call to Action Network, whatever we want to call ourselves this week. Today we're here. We're going to do a little bit of reviewing. We're going to do a little bit of previewing and everything else we can do that's in between. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? You never know. But we do have a couple of friends here with me. I am PLD, as you know. It's me. It's PLD, the homie. And I'm here with one of my favorite co-hosts of all. You're all my favorite co-hosts. I feel weird saying that because you're all my favorites. I love you all. But the first one here to my right is the lovely Miss Kelseykins. How are you doing today, girl?
I'm fine. I'm klutzy. If just y'all know, I went on a walk, which don't go outside right now because bad things will happen, such as you'll trip over a path you've gone on 100 times and mess up your foot and your knee. So I'm in pain, but otherwijse I'm fine.
But
happy to be here.
But
I'm here. I'm rallying.
Right there. That's a gamer for you. A little pain never hurts anybody. That's right.
Yeah,
I just say that's a Gucciism. A little pain never hurts anybody.
Put that in the book. Yeah.
And my other lovely co-host I have tonight, Miss Alex Mack. How are you doing today, girl?
I'm good. I bought myself a new eyeliner, so I'm all excited to wear it.
Well, speaking of eyeliner, did anybody happen to watch the Great Action stream today?
I watched a little bit of it. I got home at the very end of it.
Well, if you haven't, you all should go back, watch the Action Industry stream today. Today was the result of the general debate. On Action Industry, we do the general debate every other week where our Action Army generals debate movies. There's some of them are on Team Ghai, some of them are on Team Bateman, and the loser always gets to do something fun and embarrassing, and Team Bateman lost. And AJ Lancaster was the captain of the team, so they both did a makeup tutorial. That was actually one of the most fun action streams I ever got to produce. I got to sit back and just let them go to town, and it was glorious. So check it out. Check it out tonight.
Definitely go check it
out. But tonight we are here to talk Schmoedown as usual. So let's get right into it. We'll do small reviews of that week that happened. If you want to get more in-depth, Alex broke down the first match that we'll talk about, the Beast Bibiani versus Liz Shannon Miller, and then next day, I think all three, Alex and Danny and I believe were there. We broke down the second one there. The other one, I think, Snyder versus Riley. So we had more in-depth. This is just kind of our quick little reviews in case you missed those. So let's quickly talk first. Liz Shannon Miller and the Beast Bibiani. What a fucking match that was. I was just impressed to the nines of that one. Liz Shannon Miller has been kind of underrated for a while. She went through a good run in the beginning of her career, stumbled a little bit, but really only against like two people who were on big runs themselves, Paul Yama and Ben Bateman. And now she's back, and you couldn't be more impressive than what she did yesterday. You got Bibbs. She got spinner's choice. She got opponent's choice. Bibbs got spinner's choice, and she still wins the match. There's haven't been very many more impressive wins, I think, in this case, given what she was doing, who she was facing, and the circumstances she was facing. What do you guys think about that one, Kels?
I absolutely loved this match, not only because of the quality of gameplay, but also there were so many cats. So many cats in this, and it just made me happy.
Well, as you know, the action cats are they loom large on Call to Action.
There's one right over there.
Right over there too. And Alex always is one roaming around.
No, they're not back here. They're not in the bedroom.
Surprisingly, they're not here yet because this is the match you should be here for. What did you think of the match there, Alex?
Yeah, it was definitely by far one of my favorite virtual matches we've had this season, to be honest. Going into it, obviously, I knew it was going to be a great match because they're with two really great competitors. So I knew it was going to definitely be top notch for sure. But I mean, I believe going into it, I was like, it's Bibbs here, obviously.
Right.
And I was very surprised in those 5-pointers. Were intense. They're really kicking it up a notch when it's coming to these 5-pointers for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is. It seemed like it's kind of like I felt like going to the tournament. Players get on this kind of role, and it almost seems like it's destiny that they're going to do something special. I believe Chance is not one of those people who is on that role. I felt like Bibbs was one of the ones who was kind of on that role, destined to have like big championship matches. And here they are. Both of them get stopped by Liz Miller. She's breaking brackets left and right. I mean, thank you, Ben Rainer, right there. Ben Rainer with the $5. Thank you very much, Ben. So I guess you could say they needed beauty to slay the beast, right?
Oh, I
Yes.
love that. That's a great
I
one.
like that too.
Guess
That's
that what it is. Liz Chandler is a delight, by the way. If you ever want to go back, we just had her on Chilled Action last Sunday, and that was a great talk. She was very open about a lot of things and a lot of stuff that she likes. And if you ever want to talk about X-Files or Star Trek, and she's I guess the one to go to. There's a lot of talking about that. So it's a lot of fun though. But I'm looking forward to see, is she someone who could potentially win this whole thing? I think she could potentially win this whole thing. I don't know how we feel about that, but what do you guys think?
Well, I had Chance winning it all, and she beat him. And then I kind of was like, maybe it's going to be Bibbs. And she beat him. So honestly, at this point, yeah, I think I have her winning it because she's beaten everybody I thought was going to win it also.
That's true. But she's still got a couple of big matches left that she's going to win. But what do you think, Alice? What do you think her chances are?
The more I see her, the more I'm like, you know what? I probably might put money on Liz right now. I really would. I do think that she personally, again, in a very similar conversation with Adam, we haven't really seen Adam on the defense so far this season, and Brendan Meyer, I just never know what to expect with him. He's just like a ball of energy, a ball of knowledge. It's crazy. And he proves every single match. Obviously not just as a team, but as a singles competitor. So I wouldn't be surprised with either because they're both fantastic, but I think Liz has either one of them.
Okay.
So I do think it might come down to Ethan versus Liz, to be honest. That's like my final two right now, honestly.
Alex, you're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead of the game here. Let's go one at a time. But you know what? I will follow your audible a little bit to start. But let's talk about, instead of the other match, let's preview the Collins-Meyer match. You were just talking about that as who's going to face Liz. I want to agree with you. I think Collins is also one of those people now. It almost seems like the destiny thing has shifted to him in a way because he's won so many matches in a row. And again, you said it before, he hasn't even been in the third round yet. And I've heard some, I said this before at one point. I said I wanted to see him face some adversity. I want to see him see what happens when he falls behind a little bit. I've got some pushback from a couple other shows who have said that. I know like Orlando has said that on one of their shows. I think Justin Hamilton said it too when they said that, you can only answer the questions you put in front of you. He has proven himself already, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to say, I'm not saying he hasn't proven himself. I'm not saying that this is like, I'm not slamming him at all. And I don't think he needs to prove anything at this point. I just want to see it. I just want to see it because it's different to say.
I think he does honestly have stuff to prove because he's never going to be in the conversation of, or any rookie for that matter, is never going to be in the conversation of a really great competitor until we see him tested with a really great competitor that is also giving them their all. And let's face it, with these competitors, Lon and Roca, they played not just they played actively not great. Lon, I don't think he cracked 10 points, maybe 11. Roca, the same. He got like one question right on his strength of Westerns. And like he got like one or two. But thing is,
I don't remember that, but go ahead.
Yeah, he didn't do great overall. And so we haven't really, so whoever people that he goes up against, just don't do well. And it's not so much doing well against other competitors. I feel like they just don't do well for themselves, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, it does make sense. The other thing I wanted to add about that is that this is something that can't last forever. He's going to eventually face a three. He's going to get in the third round against somebody, and somebody on this list probably. Because if his next couple of matches, even if he wins, let's say he does win his next couple matches, he's got to beat Meyer. He's got to then beat Miller. He's going to have to beat someone like Ethan Irwin. And then eventually, if he goes through the tournament and wins the tournament, he's going to have to face Dan fucking Merle. And I tell you what, Dan Merle's going to take the third round. Nobody else will. So, I mean, it's going to happen. I would not be there when it's happened. I'm not going to crown him the victor over anything until I see him actually get those full-on bits. Because you're right. He faced Roca, which would be a great challenge, but Roca didn't play quite as well as he usually does. Lon didn't have the best game. Let's see him against somebody who's on his game like he is. That's why I wanted to see. Before Liz, I wanted to see Bibbs versus Collins because I thought since the run Bibbs had been on, Bibbs is doing perfect games almost. That's the kind of person I want to throw up against Collins at this point. But Liz played so well, maybe Liz is going to be that player instead. But maybe it's going to be Meyer because Meyer has been no slouch either. What do you think, Kelsey?
Yeah, I think the Meyer match with Collins is going to be, I think it's gonna be the first time we actually see him answer a third round question. I don't think he's gonna TKO Meyer, and the kid I feel is fully capable of beating him. I really do, but Collins, just from what I've seen in the first two rounds he does, I see him winning. I do. I think he is an unstoppable force. I feel like he does have the knowledge to be able to take all three questions in the third round. I just want to see it first.
I almost want to say that, like you said before, and like I kind of sort of said, it was like destiny for Chance. He lost. Then it was Denver Bibbs who lost. I almost felt like it slipped out of Collins' thing, possibly. Is he going to lose now? Or does he have to wait and face Liz Shannon Miller before he loses? Maybe Liz Shannon Miller is the destiny killer at this point. If I had to pick one, I think I do lean Collins at this point as well. I think Meyer shaken, and if Collins is as perfect as he's been, that could shake Meyer a little bit because he gets a little over anxious, a little into it on his own. With Bibbs, Bibbs seems to calm him down a little bit, just enough to kind of keep his head. When he's on his own, it's a little bit different. But so with that in mind, I think I'll take Collins in this match. What's your prediction, Alex?
Just to go against you guys, I'm going to go with Brendan Meyer.
I knew you were going to do that, Alex.
I agree with everything you were saying, especially that in all of his other matches, Adam Collins, admittedly, so he also did get all of his strengths. I know Anne Hathaway that was like a slice he was very vocal about in the fan league, said that he's always considered a strength. There was another one, I can't remember what he got for the horror one off the top of my head, but I remember him in a post interview saying, yeah, that's definitely a category I was like, I'm 90% sure I am going to get that question. And so we haven't really seen him tested on not just the third round, but we haven't really seen him get an opponent's choice or anything like that. But I feel like things like that are just going to be inevitable once he plays more matches. And I am just excited to see more of him as a character as well.
Yeah. I would give you more shit about just choosing against us because, but I can't deny, because honestly speaking, it really is a toss up. My leaning towards Collins, I could be swayed either way, and it depends on the hour. Really, at this point.
Yeah, literally can picture either one of them winning. So I was just being devil's advocate for you guys. No. Surprise.
They both would be good stories too, which is I like to see, and I don't mean stories in like not storyline, but they're both good stories. Collins winning is a good story for the rookie. Meyer getting a little further after his drubbing last year in the singles tournament by Bateman, that is a good story also getting him there. Seeing Myers get to face Bibiani would have been a great story, but now without Bibbs in the tournament, I think I'm going to go back to Liz versus Collins. Let's have that match for me. But okay, unless we have anything else on that one, why don't we move on to recap the other side of the bracket? We had Jeff Snyder versus Mark Riley, and I mentioned this when we did our breakdown. It was great to see an old school matchup. We had a lot of rookies this year, a lot of like newcomers or first year or second year players. These are guys you take it back to the beginning of the leagues, back when it was just on the couch. I mean, it's not a little bit after Riley. Riley there right from the beginning when he was on the couch during a segment of Schmoedown before it actually became an actual thing. So I love to see when these old guys who have come, how far they've come. We're to the new league now, and they're good friends, they're great friends. Riley has been, I wouldn't say struggling, but he's inconsistent, but had a little new life. He beat Video Drew. He beat Perry Emerov. He had some good run. He had a good run with them. I was interested to see what this is going to be. Snyder seems to, despite his non-studying, just seems to know enough. He always seems to just know enough. I don't know if that's a luck thing where it's going to run out or if it's just bluster. I don't know what it is, but he's been on a run again. Gets past Balayama. I mean, that's a big one for him. Avenging New York. So I was very excited to see Riley versus Snyder, and the match did not disappoint for me. It does seem like I'm happy to say, as a Riley fan myself, I'm a big Riley fan. I think he was the first guy that I actually rooted for in the Schmoedown before Team Action came along. I think that Riley actually played a good game overall. You took away the one big question in round 2 and the one miss in round 1, and he played a good game. Snyder just beat him. It wasn't like he got trashed. I know he got TKO, but that 5-pointer he had was a fucking hard 5-pointer. But he played well. So I'm glad to see, even though he lost into the tournament, he still played well. He can hang his hat out. He can still hang in this league and do something. And then he got Snyder on the other hand. Snyder is just he's a great personality. I love seeing him further. He's always entertaining. What did you think, Alex?
Something walking away from that match is, I definitely think that should be a conversation is Riley going to be a comeback competitor of the year? I don't know if he's going to win, but definitely could be in the conversation as far as like nominations, because let's face it, when we looked at FinStock Exchanges, the roster of competitors, the singles competitors that could go into this tournament, no one thought Riley was going to do the best. No one thought he was going to be the last one standing. And that's not a slight against him. It's just that, he was also in the same faction as Roka, who's going up against a rookie, and, things like that. So no one against, Riley, that we haven't really seen him in singles all that much, outside of his singles match against Janine earlier this year. Now, I do think that Snyder, this is something that Frankie Numbers, he even mentioned that this could be the start of this, like the Snyder Sans, and I do think, honestly, we might be in that situation. If the Odd Couple succeeds, riding on this momentum, I wouldn't really be surprised if if he might end up also be a comeback competitor of the year.
Yeah, it's a good call. I think Riley does not win comeback player, but I do think he gets the win by getting nominated. He could be that 5th nomination.
Yes, nominated.
That's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly good call. Snyder being comeback player of the year, I haven't really considered that. I don't know what he did this year, what he did versus last year. I didn't think he didn't really play singles much last year, except for New York was last year, so he lost the championship match against Oyama. So I don't know if he really come back from that. He had one loss at the end of the year, but again, I could see his potential. But
yeah, he lost to Oyama, and I could have sworn he had another singles match before the end of that year, but I could be wrong. And he also, the Odd Couple also lost against Who's the Boss earlier this year. So he lost to Ethan Irwin.
Okay.
Yes. At the beginning of the year, and so he wasn't in the conversation as veterans that are like doing amazing. So yeah.
Elias, just you're cool people and doing cool things. Thank you so much. I appreciate the donation and appreciate you being here. And thanks very much, guys. If anybody wants to throw in more super chats, of course, they get priority read at streamlabs.com/call-to-action-podcast. We have that up as well in case you want to ask us any questions. That will be prioritized. Kelsey, what do you think about Snyder moving on from Riley? Is that what you expected to happen? Is that what you wanted to happen?
I had pegged that Snyder because he's been on fire recently. I had him beating Riley. I thought it was going to be a close match, which it was. To be frank, I did not watch the match. That was when I was face down in gravel when that came out, so I missed the match. But I do know how it ended and everything like that. So I did have Snyder winning, and so it didn't surprise me, but I love Riley. Riley's one of my favorite competitors. I've been a fan since Wolves of Steel. That was my first team that I fell in love with. So I always want to see good things happen with Riley, but Snyder's on fire right now. So I really could see him going further. Maybe we'd have him a beat against whoever wins beat Irwin and things like that. It could happen.
Ben Raynor again, another destination from Ben. Thank you. Could Snyder be double belted by the end of the season? He could be. I would argue against it. I don't think it's gonna happen because I don't see him winning the singles tournament and beating Dan Merle at this point. I just don't think he's quite at that level. Snyder, if you're watching, I'm sorry, I love you, brother, but I don't think he's quite there. He's got too many stumbling blocks. I could see it happen. Could it happen? Absolutely, but I'd put it on the lower end of the scale of possibility. I'd say there's a 15% chance. That's what I would say. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? About Snyder being double belted?
I don't put anything past Snyder. I think there's other competitors in the league. I could see it happening before Snyder, but if it happened, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be like, okay, if Snyder's just all player in teams and singles, he's double belted now. But I do think there's what's more likely to happen with other players at the moment.
I think you got to consider also now that we're running down. We only have a few people left who could do it because of the singles tournament. Mm-hmm. Although I do find it weird. I want to touch base with this really, really quick. Is that it seems like everybody's saying Ben Bateman said his season's over. Maybe they all know something we don't, but the singles match is over. When the team match is over, I feel like there's going to be a few more matches between now and Spectacular. Like we have the Corruption, for example, Corruption versus Zam. We're going to have undercards and things like that. Is there potential we could have a few more singles matches that might do something, or do you think maybe they'll be fun matches? I don't know. There could be
you mean like the Janine Warhammer match where it wasn't necessarily part of a tournament?
Yeah, right. Sure. So we still could have a few random other matches coming up. I think that could happen. We have a couple months between now and Spectacular.
Yeah, why not?
That's so we'll see.
I'm a person that for me that there has to be a reason behind everything. And if there's not a reason, I'm like, why? Honestly, but that's just me. Well, that's the thing. I understand that. But like when it comes to like putting together fun matches like this, the reason why we had like, I'm super happy we had a not Warhammer. That's not the right thing. Warfather versus Janine match. I love that match. It was a great match. I was just like, this is not a necessary match, but it's a fun match to have. The thing is, if you're going to have a competitor like Ben Bateman involved for any reason, it's going to be a thing, and there's going to be a reason behind it. There's going to be a storyline or something. And so it's with Ben Bateman being a competitor that he is, it's never just going to be for fun.
Okay. It's potential. I picked Ben Bateman out of thin air because I watched him earlier today. That's what I was thinking. But
Ben is on Paul's mind after all that.
That picture of Ben was
that lipstick and the pouting. Paul's
he was like that.
Different light.
Yeah.
And Warhammer is that a game that your boy plays there, Alex?
He used to play Warhammer quite a bit, not as much right now. We actually went to the Warhammer headquarters museum. We went there when we stopped by in Nottingham when we were in the UK for our honeymoon. So yeah.
That's where I figured you're getting Warhammer from. That's what I was thinking. I know he plays.
Lucas hasn't played Warhammer like 40K in ages.
Okay. But let's bring it back then to the preview of the other match. We got Ethan Irwin versus Tom. This is going to be a fun match. I can't wait to see the character of Tom and the character, and I don't know, not really a character, but how Ethan composes himself. It's like a non-character in a way. Will Tom shake Irwin? I can't see Tom shaking Irwin. I think Irwin is unflappable. I think you could throw anything up there. Irwin's like, yeah, all right, cool. You're dead? All right, cool. So sure.
I'm into that. You need help?
I'll show you action.
I'm game. Whatever you need. I'm a producer. Yeah. We connect the right people.
We make things happen.
Okay, that's what I do. You want to bury your body? I can help you bury that body.
After I talk to Denzel Washington, then I'll come talk to you.
I'll get you that location. Plus, you need only 13 acres to bury a body. So, you don't have to look far.
Let's see. Christopher Atkinson, good to see in here. I had my money on Bibbs, but I guess I have to go with Ed Harris now. This shit stops now. Thanks, guys, and needful things. Christopher, I don't know if you watch this very often, but if you don't, you just wormed your way right into my heart, my brother.
Stop sucking up to Paul, everybody. He doesn't need it.
That's a great movie. That's a great movie that Harris is in.
Is that Needful Things, the Stephen King adaptation? I've read the book. I haven't seen the movie, but the book's really good.
It's a cop in there. It's a good movie. It's fun.
Which one?
Needful
Things. It's Max von Sydow is the devil who comes to the town, and Ed Harris is the sheriff of the town, and he slowly takes over. It's cool. It's a good.
I'll take your word for it. It doesn't sound remotely familiar though.
And yes, Dean Ed Harris would win the tournament probably.
Paul had his way; it would happen somehow.
All I was Ed Harris Slice. That's all I was. Ed Harris Slice. But anyway, Ethan Irwin versus Tom. I do want to say this because they both are very solid competitors. They both have a very broad base of knowledge. If I had to pick somebody, I got to say that I got to give it to Ethan. I think he's a little more inflammable than Tom. Tom has proven to be a little. I can't say shaky because it's not the right word. He's still winning. But in his singles matches, he doesn't seem as godlike, as Superman-like in a way. He kind of feels like he's seen a couple of holes here or there that quite aren't there. I think that Ethan can get through. What do you guys think?
I've kind of been saying it for a while that I think Tom has not been in singles what we have before the season started anticipated him being like in singles. I do think he thrives in teams, and that's kind of where his thing has been. And then Ethan's just the same beast at all times. Like you said, he's unfallible. He's just calm. He's relaxed. He doesn't get shaken. He knows what he knows, and he knows a ton. And I just can't. I have a hard time seeing anyone beat Ethan. To be honest, it's a hard battle, and I feel like Tom's record so far hasn't shown what I think I could see to beat Ethan. So I do have Ethan winning.
I guess, Alex, you're going to vote against us and go Tom because we said Ethan.
No, I'm actually going to go with Ethan, 100%. Because Tom in particular, I think it comes down to, I do think same as I love Kate. I kind of mentioned it before. I do think Tom, I think he's very flappable, character and stuff aside, he is very human. He is a very alive human, and he's had issues where he kind of flips up, and that kind of hangs on him a little bit, and he has a hard time kind of keeping up with that. There's like been a handful of moments here and there where if you look closely, he 100% drops his character. And Ethan, it's like trying to slap granite. Nothing's gonna happen, it's immobile, so I do think that as talented and amazing as Tom is, I honestly would have to give it to Ethan.
I can go with that. Again, that's our comment. I want to say real quick, we do have a stream lapse from Alias again. Thank you, Alias, again donating and saying, here's the 30% that YouTube would have taken because I was a dill and forgot to have Streamlabs. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. You're very generous. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, of course. That would be good. As always, I'd love to get a Turing test. That's
needed.
But okay, so we all have Irwin winning. So therefore, we all think that Irwin's going to face Snyder. Let's just quickly touch on that. What do you feel about that match if that happens?
I do feel like Ethan would win that match. I think if luck is on Snyder's side and Ethan just has a bad day, it is possible Snyder could win. But it's Ethan. I just can't. It's hard for me to ever say anyone's going to be Ethan's. I do feel like he would probably beat Snyder.
I gotta say that too, only because I guess I think I've said this on a stream before, but I'm always surprised when Ethan loses. Doesn't matter who he faces. Even when he faces Dan Merle, I'm still a little bit surprised. Not surprised, but a little bit surprised. What do you think, Alex?
I was like, my head is telling me Ethan Irwin for all the obvious reasons. My heart's telling me Snyder. So I'm just going to go with Snyder for this time around. I think the man is so hungry to redeem himself. And, not saying Ethan isn't, obviously. They're both very, excited to, compete against each other and everything. But, something tells me, my gut's telling me Snyder on this one, just because, he just seems a little more vocally aggressive for that belt. Vocally hungry.
And this is true. Snyder had Ethan beat last time they played. He just got an insane 5-pointer. It's not wrong. So I'm definitely not saying Snyder couldn't beat Ethan.
Yeah, I don't think he could. I think he's got a chance to, for sure.
Yeah, I do want to put that out there. They're both fantastic competitors. I don't think Snyder is just like, he's also very much an emotional competitor as well. He wears his heart on his sleeve. If he feels something, if he notices something, he's going to tell you. And sometimes he has a hard time collecting himself after a challenge, especially if he loses a challenge or whatever it may be. And so versus, like we said, it's like slapping granite. Nothing's going to happen to Ethan. Even if he has like 2 points going into round 2, he's going to be like, don't worry, I got it. That's not going to happen. But I mean, like, he's like, I just chill, I got it. But Snyder, you'd be like huffing and puffing and be like,
Man, that is a great Snyder impression.
Where's my gay cowboy t-shirt?
Man, who pulls off shirtless better, Snyder or Dagny? I don't know.
That's a hard question to ask, BLB.
I do know that. Well, yes. I should throw it out there. Yes, this movie was on Instagram. She's playing the guitar. I love what she's doing guitar.
Cool.
Yes.
Singing songs to us every once in a while. If you catch her, you follow her on Instagram, you'll see some live shows. It's pretty fun. She's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
cool.
he also says
guitar.
round 3 is into round 2, the great equalizer round. That's true. That's true. I feel like round 2 has been kind of talked about. Round 3 has been where we've been making a break and stuff recently.
It really has.
All right. Move on now, I think. Let's do this. For those behind the scenes of how the sausage is made, so to speak, Kelsey and I have been talking about trying to break down this teams tournament like for 3-4
month.
Like before the brackets were announced, we knew who the players were. Like, we'll talk about that. We'll break it down.
After Christian did that teaser tweet, like, hey, I think I figured out how to do a teams tournament. We're like, we got to talk about this.
And then every week it'd be like 2 hours in. We're like, we can't freaking talk about anything more at this point. You can't go 5 hours. We're trying to limit ourselves a little bit to a good solid show, But this week we finally said, all right, we got the bracket. This is finally the time we can break down the tournament. We're also done with the 4 matches a week now. So it gives us a little bit of more time to break down these things. So let's look at the tournament that we are going to have. We can talk about the players involved and the bracket itself. There's the bracket. Let's first talk about the play-in match. Let's start with that. We got the Witching Power versus the Misfits. Now, the Witching Power is what the Quirky Mercs have put in. It's Perry Nemiroff and Haley Fouch. And they're going against the Misfits, which is the Dungeon Selection, which is Adam Witt and Eric Zipper. Now, my first question is the Quirky Mercs. They throw in Perry Nemiroff and Haley Fouch as the Witching Power. Instead, couldn't have Shazam, obviously. Yeah, good point. That's a good point. I like that. I wonder if everyone's told them that.
We could put that on a shirt. Misfits.
Yeah, it could be a shirt.
Misfits greater than Misfits.
And yes, Buck, thank you. Alex did say 3 teams in the tweet. That's true. It was a tweet error that she made, and you called her out on it, and it was a good calling out. You got to call her out.
I responded, and I said I should have automatically put in 3 instead of the. I apologize. Okay.
Yeah, but I got
whatever.
I got to know what I can take. You know what I mean? That's the shoot. I can. So either way, though, we have the Quirky Mercs put them in. Now they couldn't put Shazam in, obviously, because Shazam got the match coming up against Corruption. That's the number 1 team. Are you guys surprised at all they went with Haley and Perry over, for example, the Real Rejects, a team that's been established and has definitely made some improvements this year? Were you at all surprised they went this direction?
Yes and no. The Real Rejects are such a solid team. They've been on a total high of playing right now. I could totally have seen them be putting in, but I think I see Koi as being one of those managers that does want to try to give everybody a shot to play. And so he's like, hey, we played you guys and it's like that. Let's give these guys a chance to try teams, things like that. So when I found out it wasn't going to be Real Rejects, I wasn't really surprised. And I'm excited to see how they do. I really am.
Fair enough.
I honestly think that the thing is, if this team wasn't about to happen, if this team, the Witch's Power weren't a thing, were going to be happening, Haley would have not get a single match the entire season. And Haley and I don't know, maybe there was a conversation behind the scenes where Haley was like, "Hey, yo, where's my match, Koi? Where's my match? Hey, where's my match? Where's my match?
Here.
Yo, come on. My girl.
Come in, coach. Come in.
So and Haley has mentioned, in podcasts and things like that, she loves Schmoedown. And, obviously them being part of a duo, I don't know if it's the smartest combination of competitors, but they do have a really great chemistry. They are wonderful together. And I don't know about them winning the tournament, but they could potentially walk away with a win with that match.
Now it comes up. You talk about chemistry. Obviously Perry and Haley work well together. But you mentioned they have each other's things. I kind of wonder. Again, Kelsey mentioned Koi wanting to play the whole roster, and yes, everybody on his roster has played now. Everybody now that Haley's in the tournament. But my question is, if you're going to have the Real Rejects not play, which I get, I think that's probably your best bet, maybe. But what about instead of Perry, who played the singles tournament, you play Haley with someone like a Tim Franco? Because Tim Franco is there sitting your bench now, and Tim Franco is a team player. He's a really good, underrated player who's never really had a really good shot, I feel. And I think that Tim and Haley probably don't overlap quite as much. It might make for that better team combination covering a more broader base of information of questions, for example. Maybe it's because Perry and Haley wanted to play together. I don't know. We always don't know all the things. But for my sake, I would think I'd love to have seen a Haley-Tim Franco combination.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I could see them wanting to play together and that being part of the decision. Also, as like Brianna said in the chat, it's going to be so nice to have a all-girl team again. I'm excited. So
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That could be part of it. They're like, hey, we are two badass ladies. We want to play. We want to play together. Put us in, coach. And
I think that's another good thing to do. Absolutely. But it's definitely it's not like and I'm definitely not saying that they're a bad team at all. Because who knows? You never know where they're going to be at this point. Either way, it should be fun. But you do have those questions, I think.
Well, I mean, it's a very necessary question to have because, as a manager, you have to think to yourselves, I do want to utilize all the competitors in my roster, the greatest of my abilities, but, things happen with scheduling and things like that. Honestly, that's the reason why we weren't able to get some competitors. That's why we couldn't get Stacey Howard in the singles tournament. And I know she also I'm so sad that she's not playing in teams this year.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about wasted competitors.
Yeah. But I mean, going into that, we'll talk about that in a bit. But I mean, you can't not have the odd couple playing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the odd couple. Odd couple. Odd couple. What is a Boston accented version of the couple? Like the odd couple. Yeah, couple. Odd couple.
Ad couple, maybe couple, more couple than couple, I think. But
it's an ad couple, I don't know. But I do think it's definitely a waste of an opportunity for a competitor like her that had a really awesome win against Eric Zipper earlier this year, and I would have loved to see another new team into this tournament because, there's so many awesome, new, amazing rookies this year. Yeah. And, competitors that are returning, after a while, like Perry, obviously, doing amazing. And Tim Franco, we hadn't seen him in a long time. So, it's just.
There's a lot of players you want to see. It's
probably, there's a lot, and Snyder and Drake have a lot of matches this season.
And we would have more if it wasn't for 2020 and COVID and all that stuff. We would have had more matches and we would have seen everybody. That's an interesting call too. Interesting thing to have a point, like a bonus point for using everybody at 1 point per player. That's an interesting way to incentivize that. I do like that. Brianne. Well, let's move on real quick to the other side of the matchup. We got the misfits, the worst misfits according to Brianne, and I don't necessarily
the lesser of the two.
Misfits the lesser. You have Eric Zipper, Adam Witt. Now it's another choice the Dungeon had to make. They had two teams earlier this year. You had Theo Drew with the new Tom 2.0 with Rick Hong. You also had the Butcher Boys, Owen Mugen and Vinny Mancuso, the ice pick. Vinny had been used well in the singles tournament, did well, had a great showing. But yet there's a new team of Eric Zipper and Adam Witt. What do you guys think about that choice? Is that the right choice to make, or should they have gone to one of those who played before, give them a little bit more of a second chance kind of thing, or what do you think?
Really, I feel like it could have gone anyway. I think both the established teams are great, and I would love to see them come back. They're also going to be back things like scheduling stuff for one of the players on the teams and various reasons, so we don't know for sure. But Adam Witt is a super strong player. I think particularly in teams, I think he does really well in a team environment. And then Zip is super underrated. I love Zip, and he needs to get the attention and he deserves because he's such a great player. The two of them together might mesh really well. Maybe that's something that Kaiser's seen in study sessions. Like, wow, you guys have balanced each other very well. You guys have great chemistry. And so there might be, reasons like that. He has seen something in them together that makes him think this is the team I want to represent us. So I think it's going to be good. I'm excited.
All right. What about you, Alex?
I definitely have, if I were to put money on it, I would definitely personally put money on the inferior Misfits. So for the potential winners of this match. And I say because these are two competitors that are also very vocal about their study habits. They consistently study like all the time. And it's and I was I was in a training session with one of them not too long ago, and I was like, the way he's just casually whipping out this knowledge, and he's like, yeah, I like this last week I saw like 10 new movies, and I'm like, shoot, how do you just 10 new movies? That's hard to do. And he's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I have a match coming up, so 10 movies at least a week. And I was like, yeah. And so he's definitely so invested in this, and them as a duo is delightful together. And so they also have really, really great chemistry.
They really do. I know they've been talking about it. They did say that. I know Eric Zipper was on. I think he talked about it during one of the breakdowns we did with him, and he was mentioning that him and Adam got together really briefly, and they got along so well, and they seem to really complement each other. And Eric Zipper is the definition of underrated or underrated at this point, because he seems like every time he's gotten better, but everyone still doubts him. And he took Ethan Irwin to the limit. I mean, that's saying something. I mean, he still lost the match score, but he's getting better and better. And you team up with someone like Adam Witt, who also, if I hadn't seen him, I don't believe we've only seen him in the Star Wars tournament this year, I believe. I don't think we've seen him in anything else. I could be wrong on that, but I think so. And the last time we saw him in like a singles/teams tournament was back when he was with Paul Preston. And I remember correctly, he was actually getting better. He had like a shitty, not shitty, but he had a poor debut. Didn't really seem like he was doing much. Like Paul Preston was carrying it. But every time the movie guys had a match, he got better and better to the point where he was just as solid as Paul was in a way. So I'd like to see them. Him and Eric Zipper could be a very formidable opponent, a very formidable twosome. I'm going to predict that they're going to win this match. I think they have a little more between them. They have a little more of the broad-based stuff. I think Perry will win, and if there's new release, I mean, it might come down to round 2. Now it might come down to like new releases be on the wheel. I think Witt and Zipper will help. If they have new releases, you'll see Perry and Haley do well. And if it's like something earlier on, I think you'll see Witt and Zipper do well. Bet if I'm leaning one way would be Witt and Zipper, the misfits, the inferior. And sorry, Eric, for watching. Brienne said it, and I'm just running with it at this point.
And
so.
if she says it, it's fact. So we must all.
That's true. That's facts right there. So, what do you guys think? Who do you have in this match now?
I think I do have to agree. I would love to see a powerhouse team of girls just like run through this tournament and beat everybody. But I've seen them play separately. I know what they can do. I think what I've heard, just talking to Kaiser and each of them individually, I feel like they are a team made in heaven from what I've heard. And I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but I think I do have the Misfits winning. I think they're going to be awesome, I think, together. So,
all right. What do you think, Alex? What do you got?
Like I said, honestly, I had to put money on the Misfits. I love Haley. I love Perry. I think they're amazing in every single way possible. I love their podcasts together. Haley hasn't played in a very long time, and Perry, she's definitely, did really beat expectations, going into the singles tournament. And I definitely think she's, a fantastic partner for anyone. Same for Haley. It's just Adam and Witt. Adam Witt, Eric Zipper. They're some of my favorite competitors on Schmoedown right now, guys. I mean, they're my favorite. They're my guys.
Get it. I totally get it. All right. Let's move on to the other part of the same side of the bracket. You got Tom and Paul versus Final Exam. This is a very intriguing match for me because I think Tom and Paul, obviously, I mean, at the beginning of the year, there are people who were like pretty much guaranteeing they weren't going to lose a match all year. They're the definite title holders. They had it all in the bag. They're going to be the best team we've ever seen. And then they lost their first match. And they stumbled. They stumbled out of the gate. Now, does that mean they're any less of a team?
No.
They're two great players. Tom is a great player. Paul's a great player. And they're both great team players. So they put up against Final Exam, who have definitely proven themselves this year. They've got very far. They did end up getting a little bit of shellacked by Shazam, but Shazam's a high-quality team, so I don't know if you can turn that against them. Paul Yama has had a great comeback kind of year. Hasn't quite made it all the way either singles or teams, but definitely has stepped back up from his shellacking at the Spectacular to Ben Bateman. So I think that this is going to be an intriguing match. I think I gotta give it a little bit to Tom and Paul because I feel like Lon is a little more inconsistent recently. As far as it goes, I think Paul's been more carrying him a little bit, whereas Tom and Paul are more equally based at this point, if that makes sense. What do you guys think?
I feel that Tom and Paul have not played together for a bit. I mean, I'm sure there's been some study things and everything like that. And Final Exam, I do agree that Lon has been a little bit less on his game the last couple times, but I feel like there's gonna be enough time from his last game in singles to them going to teams to kind of address that. Be like, hey, we've noticed this. Let's work on it. And I think he and Swag, there we go, are going to do it. They're going to work hard. They're going to study. They're going to get back in their groove. I have Final Exam winning it. I feel like it's going to be a very close match, but it's hard for me to doubt Final Exam because they've just been so strong. So that's who I have winning it.
Okay.
I have to agree with Kelsey 100%. I love Paul and Tom individually. They're fantastic. We've just, I don't think the chemistry is there realistically. And I think that was really exhibited in the first match. Now, there are stuff to consider, going back to that match. That was a very long time ago. That was the very beginning of the season. And, but that and they met the day they recorded their first match. And so obviously that's going to reflect in their chemistry. And I know Paul, he's out doing his thing. He's traveling. Oh my gosh, his social
travel pictures.
Oh my gosh, like he's going to different national parks and everything. I am like living for it. I'm like every day I look at his picture. I'm like, oh. It just comes down to, honestly, I don't feel like I don't know how much of a realistically, I don't know how much of a big, like a priority, winning this match is, honestly. It's just, I do expect great things from him. It just comes down to, I know for a fact that Final Exam, they actively study, not only together, but individually. And Paul, he's more of a casual knowledge guy. And, Tom, he actively says he doesn't study. He has no desire to study. That's not the kind of competitor he is. So with that in mind, that's why I think Final Exam is going to succeed. But
I wouldn't be shocked either way. There's another one of those matches where either way, I wouldn't be surprised. I did kind of skip a little bit over, like we did have to talk about whoever wins that play-in match gets the joy of facing the Founding Fathers. One quick thing I'll say though before I drop away from Tom and Paul, if Tom and Paul do win, and if somehow the Misfits were able to sneak by Founding Fathers, we get Tom and Paul versus Adam and Eric, and I'd love to see the movie guys going up against each other. That could be just pure.
That would be a hilarious match.
Waiting to happen.
That would be like the match of my dreams, guys. All my favorite people on stage together.
But going back,
you just need to pull in like Stacey Howard in there as an announcer, and I'm like, yes, match of my dreams. That and Danielle, obviously. You don't need to be in here. Come on, Stacey and Danielle, let's make that happen.
I look like Tom and Zimmer would have to sit on the other side, eating popcorn, watching the fireworks get down at that point. But either way, you know what? Let's go talk about that. No Misfits or Witching Power, whoever does win has to face the Founding Fathers, and that's kind of a tough draw for you. You win the match, and that's your reward, is to face one of the greatest teams in the history of the game, Dan Murrell and John Roca. Now, John Roca has been a little more inconsistent recently. You saw him against Collins. You saw him, although he'll be the first to point out he did do well in the teams match against when he was with Murrell. So you don't know what you're going to get out of Roca. I think you're going to get a solid Dan Murrell no matter what still. Dan Murrell's still really at the top of his game, as we've seen. I think either way, Founding Fathers will probably end up beating Misfits or Witching Power, no matter who it is. And that's the way it's set up, because I think Founding Fathers, I believe, should be the number one seed, considering they just lost the belt. They should be the number one seed in the tournament, so to speak. So you've played them against the match, and that's who usually plays the play-in match anyway. So does anybody think the Founding Fathers aren't going to win that match?
No, I have them winning. I think that the other team will give them a good game. I think it'll be entertaining and exciting, but I see Founding Fathers winning it. It's hard to root against them.
I don't want to root for them. That's the thing. But if I put money down for it, realistically, also it's kind of interesting to think about is that we haven't really. Whereas it's Murrell, like he can't do wrong. Honestly, it's Murrell. Like him and Ethan are like they can do no wrong. Has Roca won this season at all?
I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he has. I just can't think of it in my head. I can't.
With Dan or in singles?
No, either.
In either? I'll look it up real quick. I'm sure.
I can't think of it off the top of my head. I can't remember a match that he's won this season.
Yeah, they definitely
I could be
won.
wrong. I have a horrible memory, and I don't know what happened last week. So it's So
he beat
Roka beat
earlier in the
Oyama.
year. It's so back in the day before,
at the very beginning,
Before
okay,
everything.
before the digital
you're
age, which
totally
seems like
right.
last year. It actually
Yeah,
seems
you're
like
totally
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it
in
felt
January.
It felt like last year. Yeah, you guys
that
are
is
totally
honestly.
right. Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
totally feel like it's last year. I totally had to
it really does, guys. It really does. Roka, I also know that Roka, obviously he's no slouch. He definitely does study and everything. I also know that he's actively in the process of moving and buying a house right now. He has a lot going on himself. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, hey, I got to prioritize boxing some shit up over, studying. Sorry. It's like, that's a very necessary conversation that might have to happen. So.
Can I say I agree with Miss Movies here too? I wish I could see more of JJ. She is always very entertaining and also has a strong knowledge base as well. So that would have been nice to have seen. Right now, it's a good time to read we had a Streamlabs in there from General #Ladies Night John Lustrino. Thank you, John. I think teams like Final Exam and Founding Fathers have a bit of an advantage because they've worked together in the digital age. That experience is important.
I do agree.
That's not bad. That's not a bad choice at this point. So they have managers who now have done it as well. Dagnino has done it now for enough time, and so is Winston has been doing it the whole time. So it's definitely interesting to see where they go with that. All right, let's see what we got. Moving on. We'll slide over to the other side of the bracket. We'll go to that lower corner there. We got Deception versus the Lethal Weapons. This is a big one. This is a big one for us. We got the newly formed team from Corruption of Adam Collins and Marisol McKee, the rookie team. And you got them up against another rookie team, just in terms they haven't played together yet, of Ethan Irwin and our Lord and Savior, Andrew Ghai. Now, the question you would have first off is, I think it's an easy question to answer for me, but did Corruption make the right pick with these two competitors as their team? Adam Collins and Marisol McKee. You have on the bench at this point, obviously Mike and Chance are out because they're the champions. You still have Mark Edward Hoyk, you have Elliot Dewberry, you have Clee Wiggins, you have Rick Ramos, Claudia Dolph as the other remaining players. I'm going to answer my own question first and say I think she made a right decision. She made a great choice. I'm very interested to see. I think you couldn't not play Adam Collins at this point. And then Marisol has made just as great a showing. I mean, she lost to Polyama, who pitched a perfect game. It's hard to beat somebody who's perfect. Yep. So I think it's going to be a great team. I don't know their knowledge base enough to know how they team up as far as their different strengths and weaknesses, but I still think it's the way to go. What do you guys think?
I think Corruption had so many solid players to be able to match up together to be a team. I trust Shannon. I think she saw something in both of them. Like, these two not only are great, but they will be great together. They will balance each other out. They understand kayfabe together. I feel like she knows what she's doing. She's going to put in a team that checks out all the boxes she's looking for the tournament. So I think we are in for a treat with them. I think they're I'm most excited to see them in the tournament than any other team on the bracket. I can't wait to see what they do. And, it's a Corruption shill a little bit. I'm pretty excited to see them, win everything.
Are you rooting for them over Andrew Ghai?
I am rooting. I kind of have this Deception winning the whole thing on my personal.
Are you rooting for them? Rooting?
Well, you forget just how much of a traitor Kelsey is.
Anyway, we're gonna get her right off the show.
She's real up there as far as she's real high up there as far as being a traitor to not only us as a part of the Action Army, but being a traitor towards our Lord and Savior and Andrew Ghai, obviously being.
But I'm not quiet about it. I'm not secretive. I'm on it.
You're no spy.
I am no spy. I am very upfront with my traitorness. So
having real serious chest pains now. But either way, all right, fine.
Don't like it. I don't like it.
Well, what do we think about Andrew teaming up with Ethan Irwin? Obviously, some people mentioned, of course, the other idea would have been Ethan and Janine reforming the time machine. What do we think about that? Are we sure that Sam made the right choice? Bring these two together instead.
I have to say,
Or leaving off the lady left off someone like a Matt Atchity or Robert Montano. There are people on the bench still as well. Just so you know.
Well, I do think Ethan has played for quite a bit. And it kind of depends on whether or not other competitors also wanted to play. Ethan, obviously, if he wants to play, if you want points, give him matches, obviously. But the thing is, there's quite a few people that I'm because I know Janine, for example, she was on Schmoedown earlier this week, and she said, I was really gunning for teams. I was a little disappointed I wasn't in teams. You know, and that sucks. And we had a really awesome match, you know, with Warfather. So she's really hyper focusing in. You know, obviously, I would really love to see. I really was hoping to see more of her. And I know realistically, we talked in the past about how Andrew Ghai has mentioned Ethan Irwin is like the only other competitor outside, you know, McQueenie and Ben Bateman I'm okay with teaming up with. Other than that, I'm super duper selective because I'm Andrew Ghai and that's what I can do. But, you know, he hasn't really, I love Andrew, but he hasn't really proven himself as a competitor in a while. So I was kind of like, I would really love to see, I was really hoping to see Janine like come in, honestly. Robert also, I would have loved to see more of. I think that one match he lost against Snyder, he did really great, you know, considering it was like his first singles match. But I would have loved to see more competitors.
I will say that I think maybe losing to Ben Bateman in the fashion that Andrew Ghai did might be one of the best things that happened to him in terms of he is going to be severely, severely underrated now. Because this is a player who everybody's writing off. He got his ass kicked and everything else. He let the character get a hold of him. He didn't challenge, as he mentioned on his Action Rewind stuff when he talked about the match. He let some challenges go that he could have challenged because he was either too in character or moved on, or that maybe Christian wasn't hearing him out. Either way, whatever it was, either way he lost. He admits he got his ass kicked, and he gets that. But I think now he's underrated. People forget that he has been a great team competitor. He's always been he's been one of those guys. I think it's an underrated position to be in. Everybody else talks about the 1A on the team. And he always has been the B player. You have a Ben Bateman, you have a Drew McQueen, you have Ethan Irwin. But being a solid number 2 is what can give you a championship. You have a solid number 2. Now, Andrew Ghai has always been a solid number 2 as far as that goes. So I think this could be a surprise. I think we could see Andrew Ghai, because he's always done better in teams regardless. He has always said he hated singles. He doesn't like playing singles. He's never liked playing singles. He does it because he's so damn good at his character work and he's so damn good at being theatrical that you want to put him because you want to see him more. But he's always much more thrived in the team situation. I think he's embarrassed a little bit. I think he wants to prove himself now, and I think he wants to do well. So I think he's going to turn it on with Ethan Irwin. I think Ethan's someone he's wanted to work with. He doesn't want to lose for Ethan's sake, because Ethan's on the line as well. He wants to do well for Ethan. So I feel you're going to get a strong competitor from Andrew, a strong competition from Andrew Ghai, and I would not be surprised if they beat Deception. I would go that far and say I would not be surprised. Now, can Deception win? Absolutely. Collins is on that kind of tear. But I'm gonna lean towards Ethan Irwin and Andrew Ghai.
I do want to clarify something. I do have Lethal Weapons walking away with this tournament.
The whole tournament.
I have them walking away. I was like pulling because I was like sketching it here, and I'm like, well, you know what? Let me just highlight my winners. 1 second. Let me just.
All right. Well, while she does that, I do think that Deception has a slight advantage that both are very familiar with the digital age and been playing so. And then Drew did not seem to be a big fan of.
Right.
So I could see that being an aspect of it. So I think Lethal Weapon's gonna be an amazing team. I just think Deception's just gonna sneak on by him a little bit.
Okay.
I love Deception. I want to point that out there. I think they're amazing together. And hypothetically, if they win, would not be surprised. Adam Collins is amazing. Marisol is an angel on earth. Let's be honest, guys. She's amazing. She's all that in a bag of chips. She's like better than sliced bread. But like you said, when it comes, there's certain competitors that I feel like thrive more than anything in a team's environment. Andrew Ghai, for example, Rachel Silvestrini as another one. And you can't, Doc having a really great teammate, obviously. It's just, we haven't really, again, the thing is when it comes to Andrew, I think it just comes down to how actively in it is he, how focused is he gonna be? And again, I do have him having them winning the whole thing, but I think that they are really gonna have to really hone in and hyper focused in order to walk away with a win. Because when he's good, he's amazing, he's unbeatable. When he's bad, we had that.
Mm-hmm. But also, he definitely cares more as a team. Because, like I said, I think he definitely cares more about Ethan Irwin. He doesn't want to let Ethan Irwin down. If he loses to himself. He's not that not as upset about it, I think. But he's also a really competitive person, though. In general, he's a very competitive person. So getting his ass kicked, I think, will make him not want that to happen again.
Well, with that being said, do you think that this is kind of a little bit off topic, and this is just me a quick one, but do you think with some competitors that are so focused that they can only play that have that like Andrew Ghai, do you think he's only gonna he's kind of vocal about it? He's like, I have noticed, he's not going to be in singles next season. He's not going to be in IG. He's not going to be in Star Wars. I mean, he's going to be one division. Therefore, I don't think he might not be drafted for at least the fourth round or something, fourth or fifth round potentially. So
could very well be. It's something you're going to look at. But let's also say that Andrew is a reactive competitor. He is an emotional competitor. He's also someone that will say, I'm not doing this. I'm done. He also retired last year and then came back. I think he put him in the right situation. I don't think it'll be the last time you see him in singles. He says he's not playing in singles, but that's what he says now. You tell him next year he's got a matchup against Mike Kalinowski in a live event, and you tell me he's not going to do that, he'd be all over that shit. I know Andrew Ghai. He wants to be in the live environment. He wants to face someone like Mike Kalinowski live.
But it's not.
What?
It's not a live environment.
No, but you're saying next season. You're saying you said next season he wasn't going to play, and I'm saying next season he might play singles. He might play singles next season live.
He's mentioned.
I know he's mentioned it. He also retired last
year. Yeah, but maybe. But he's been very He's been so vocal about it, and that's something. Yes, he's a competitor that's just like I don't know what I want to do next week, but right now I feel like this, and that's cool and all. But as a result, I have a hard time trusting a lot of things that he says when it comes to his future within Schmoedown. But also, he doesn't really have the record to show for a live event unless he somehow miracle in a single tournament.
I don't care what his record is. You're going to see Andrew Ghai is probably the best performer. Christian Harloff is going to put him in there. Christian Harloff has said that, and Andrew Ghai has said that. He could be 0-8. He's going to be in a live event because he's that damn popular, that damn fun. Doesn't matter what your record is. He could be 0-100. He's going to come in and do the show he's going to give. He's going to be a live event. He might be the undercard, but he'll be there. Guarantee you. I think there's some players. You're right. A lot of them get to earn it, but there's some people who act.
I mean, I personally, I just really don't like that. I mean, just like that. Just it was like.
To me, that's part of it.
Setting someone up for failure.
That's like the wrestling aspect of things.
This is a half wrestling, half sports. This is the wrestling side of it. You gotta have that character competitiveness.
Got storylines and stuff.
I love the storyline and everything, but he's almost exclusively storyline because he doesn't have any wins to show for it.
He's 4-2 in singles, I think, isn't he? Or 3-3. He's not like under record. He's hitting 500.
Really?
He's beaten Merle, Roca, and RMB. He's only lost to Bateman twice. I don't even know who he lost to in singles besides that. I can't even think he's beaten.
If you say so.
So he's 3-2 right now, I think.
If you say so.
So he's got a winning record. That's good enough. So winning record plus that kind of charisma character.
Plus, Christian knows he's going to sell 200 tickets to Action Army alone because we'll be there. No matter where it is, we'll be there.
I understand. It's a money game. It's all a money game. I respect that for sure about it. To me, a match has to be earned. There has to be a purpose and a reason behind it. And I'm not a wrestling fan. And so me as a non-wrestling fan, I don't understand. Everything has to have a purpose, has a reason and a goal behind it. And so having something without purpose, I'm like, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this? And I understand having the wrestling aspect. Well, the purpose of this is to further a storyline. Well, if we're not really invested, why? That's just my mindset behind it. But I understand, I do understand. Thank you. But I understand it comes down to he's a competitor. No matter what, I'm going to show 100%. I'm going to cheer my ass off, and that's just the way it's going to be. Absolutely. But I also want him to be in a match that he deserves. I want to be at a match that he is going to be, where it could be a conversation where he could be it was a really worth it match that people really need to. I do want to point out, though, I have no desire to watch wrestling. Dean Morgan, no desire. I don't care about that. But it just needs to be worth it. There needs to be something behind it that really gives justification for having a live event.
Well, that's unfortunately, if you don't understand, I can't help you with that. But that is the reason a live event is because it's entertaining.
Yeah,
because
I get that.
Entertainment. Mm-hmm. So there's a sports side, there's an entertainment side. Andrew Ghai is the most entertaining guy. So when it's sports entertainment, that's the reason to have the match, because he's entertaining.
But if it's going to be like a horrible match,
Ben Bateman versus Andrew Ghai in Houston, horrible match. Great fun time.
It's one of my favorite matches of all time.
Spoken about one of the most favorite events they had. Houston has always talked about that. So I mean, that's the kind of thing it is. It's a fun.
It's a good match because we know what goes on also behind the scenes. Obviously. I know, girl. So, so it just comes down to, like I said, I want a healthy combination of character, story, and it has to be worth it, So
I get that touchback. I get the argument. I understand it. I just know that you're going to say, you got to say that you got to understand that Drew is going to get a singles live event, whether you like it or not, or you agree with the idea or not. He's going to be getting one. Mm-hmm. So, I had something else I wanted to say.
My cat has thoughts on Andrew Ghai.
Yes, he does. One question I want to ask from Dean Morgan. Dean Morgan, this is a funny question. Who is Riggs and who is Murtaugh on Lethal Weapons? I don't do you. So Riggs is Mel Gibson's character and Murtaugh is Danny Glover's character. I think you got to go with Andrew Ghai as Riggs, who's the crazier one.
I'm with you on that one.
And Erwin as the older, patrolled with this shit kind of character.
Well, it's also kind of sad because Murtaugh is legit suicidal. So.
Oh, Riggs! You mean Riggs is
whoever. I mean, he's literally suicidal, putting himself in active danger, asking people all the time.
Only the first one. He got over it. The first one. He's more, just crazy in general. But yes,
he's for me now.
All right, let's move on. Go too far into that. We already said everything. The last bracket we had was Odd Couple versus Category 9. Category 9 being the new team of Jada Paramo and Brandon Hanna. How did that happen? Let's talk about that. You have the Droogs. You have Ken Knapsack throwing whatever up against the wall and seeing what sticks. Not putting in the team that was there before, not putting on the Whitney Seibold, Alonzo Duralde team, which was a solid team. Instead, you're going with a guy who has never played in anything but the IG.
And is a traitor.
That we like to.
I don't cheer for traitors.
That's not true, Kelsey. You cheer almost exclusively for traitors. I'm actually shocked you don't cheer for Brandon Hanna.
No, Ben's not a traitor.
Son of a bitch.
It's also kind of an interesting situation with this one, because we were just talking about, competitors that are very focused on storyline. Andrew Ghai, being a competitor that if he's gonna get a live match, it's gonna be so story driven. I think that's a very similar conversation. Seriously, girl, what is with you today? You're just strutting around. I feel like it's kind of a similar conversation with Brandon Hanna. He's this obviously isn't the first time we've had an IG competitor go into singles or teams By Kalinowski, Eric Zipper. But does that always mean it's a good thing? No. But it's definitely going to be a huge storyline.
Let me interject real quick. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Thank you, John.
Drew was trying to help Ben. He was trying to get him away from the table jumping out to attack him. He didn't do anything. He was trying to save him and went to the table. The table got in the way. That's Ben's fault. Ben actually damaged the table. That's Ben's fault.
Oh yeah, Ben's fault that he crashed and was injured on the floor.
He was falling down. He was falling down. Drew was trying to.
It's 100% his fault.
That sounds very toxic.
No. Ben
Thank you.
The Action Army when he went to Mark Riley, didn't want to reform Team Action. He wanted to stay with Who's the Boss. He betrayed all of us.
He did.
That's what happened.
He betrayed not just his best friend and teammate. He betrayed a family. Okay.
That's right. Yes.
A family.
Yes.
An army. Okay.
Sorry, Alex. Where were we anyway? But about category. You're right. So you were saying that possibly a storyline thing. It could very well be. I also want to throw out there as far as Deep 13 goes. We don't know. There could be potentially have been some kind of scheduling issue or something because that does happen by the same sometimes. We don't always know. And absolutely. Hashtag blame Bibbs. Hashtag blame Bibbs. But it could be well, but it also could very well be that we know that Christian enjoyed Brandon Hannah's heel. Christian was definitely behind the Hannah heel, and I get that. Maybe he wants to see Hannah come back in any fashion. Maybe it was a Christian suggestion, and that was like, yeah, we'll give it a shot. Why not? I do know that Brandon Hannah has done a lot of studying this year. He worked really hard at the IG and did well in the tournament. He ended up on the wrong side of things, but he didn't perform poorly. If he turns that studying into studying into the singles or in the singles league, that could be a good team. But it's kind of tough to see this going up against the Odd Couple, a former champion. Miss Movie was in there before saying that she thought maybe they should have been the play-in match as a totally new team. I don't necessarily disagree. She said it should have been Odd Couple or Category 9 versus Deception as the play-in match. I'm not sure I completely agree with that, but for some reason, Deep 9 gets to face Odd Couple right away. I can't see any way the Odd Couple loses this, but I don't know Brandon's level of singles knowledge.
I definitely think that, sorry, my cat is just very aggressive with her affection today. I know she's everywhere. He's one of those competitors. I think that, when the whole potential storyline with him thing is, you also misspoke. He ended up being on the correct side of things, Paul, okay, with Brandon Hannah. He lost, therefore, obviously. So, as he should have, okay. So, with that being said, he's had the full storyline that they had planned. They were like, well, we're not going to use it. But let's create a scenario where we do use it. Teams! You want to be on teams? Too bad. You're on teams. Go. And let's face it, he lives in an apartment with two other competitors, Alex Marzonia. Unfortunately, we haven't seen him compete this season, but he was definitely drafted, and he also lives in the same apartment as Rachel Silvestrini. So they definitely hang out quite a bit. And seriously, you cannot bite cords. No. That's a bad thing, guys. Cats should not bite cords. But also, he watches movies a lot, since he's dating. So he's watching movies on the couch quite a bit.
I will say, before he turned traitor on us, he did mention before. He always mentioned, last year, he was talking about when he was in the IG that he would eventually like to make a singles run at some point. He mentioned that, so this could be a long time in the works. Miss Movie, thank you for clarifying. It's true. None of the four competitors have played in teams. I get that because Eric, and Adam and Haley and Perry have all played in teams before, so they are. I guess Brandon. I guess you could say the other four: Brandon, Jader, Collins, and Marisol are all rookies to the team league. So I guess that actually makes a lot of sense. I'll give you that. Hopefully you're not shutting down. Hopefully she's not shutting down.
Bye,
What? I think
she like pressed a few buttons and I was like, like the thing shifted. I don't know.
But we'll find out though. He has been, so we'll have to find. He has been, he's been with Sabrina. He's been watching a lot of movies. Of course, Sabrina didn't do very well in her tournament match either. I mean, not didn't do well, but she was one and done. So we'll have to see if that helps her. We don't know. But it's potential. He's got potential. He's definitely one of the ones I'm looking forward to seeing how they do most. If I had to pick somebody, I'm picking out a couple though. I mean,
my cat has an OnlyFans account, guys. So.
That's what it is. She's advertising. Got it.
Did you know? Oh my
There's
God.
hits for free.
She is just the camera right now, like aggressively. Oh, I'm like, she's not all like
Streamlabs for the Action Cat. Speaking of Streamlabs, we did have one earlier I want to mention real quick before you jump in. From PC, lovely. Thank you so much, PC. A big donation there. Just wanted to leave a little love. Even when I can't watch the live, I leave a thumbs up. We appreciate that. I want to say it's PC's birthday today. So happy birthday, PC. If I'm off on that, it's off by a day or two, but I think it was today. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but happy birthday, PC. If it is, it's around. We love you. You're always a big supporter of ours. So
she's amazing. Love her.
Much appreciation. Mm-hmm. What is the cat's name, Alex? Tell everybody.
Her name is Juno.
So she's gonna have her OnlyFans account of Juno. Juno the cat.
Yes, Juno that cat ass.
That cat ass. That's the higher tiers on that. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Very exclusive, guys. Gotta have a password and everything.
All right, well, that is going to be our look through the team's tournament so far. I believe we'll wait and see how it shakes down before we go any further. So instead, we do that. Nice.
I bet Kylo Ren will probably subscribe too.
I could have Indiana Jones and Marty McFly be all over that.
Yeah.
There's no round top round. There'll be a double doth going for it.
Yeah, he's very lonely.
So you know what, we have a little bit more time left in this episode. We can also touch base on a couple other things that we got coming up to look forward to. I'm gonna jump first. We have the rom-com exhibition coming up with Miss Brianne Chandler in the chat. She's going to be performing in that match up against Josh Bakuga, I believe, and who else was it? Was it Janine, or was it I can't remember. Video Drew, Josh Bakuga, Brianne Chandler, and
Video. Yeah, it's the four. Video Drew, Janine, Makuga, and Brianne Chandler.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to this match. As a match we have been talked about for a while. It's not a match we get to see very often. I really can't wait to see this match. I don't know who's going to win this match. I want to say, Brianne's in the chat, so you can't not vote for her, right? But in all honesty, you go down to it. I think she has a great chance to win it. That's no doubt there. I think all of them have good chances. I'm actually interested to see how well Josh Makuga does. He's been living
I'm excited for Makuga.
He's been living that married life. I love the confidence. Well, I can't wait to see the entrance videos that they've made, perhaps. I love those entrance videos.
Oh, man, I do miss it.
I miss entrances so much.
I miss costumes.
I miss costumes. And
Brianne, please tell me there's a costume involved, please.
Seriously. But yeah, I'm gonna go with our homegirl here. Our homegirl is in the chat. I'm gonna say Brianne's gonna win. What do you have to say? What do you guys think?
I honestly am not entirely sure. I think it's gonna be between Janine and Brianne. I just knowing both of their knowledge like that, I think it's gonna be either one of them. Really, I don't know of the two. I just think that's who I feel like is gonna win. It's one of them. So
nice. Yes, it is Video Drew. It is Video Drew. That's what we said. Yeah, Video Drew.
Yeah, there is no love for Video Drew in this conversation, and I'm not here for that. Okay, I'm not here for it. So y'all suck. I'm gonna go for Video Drew. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you go Video Drew. That's an interesting choice. I think that's a very interesting choice. I'll just see I know she's been studying a lot this year, but I don't know when this match was taped necessarily.
It was taped in March.
Taped in March. See, wasn't that before? Was Drew really studying hardcore back then? Was she going?
She was. I worked with her on the match.
For that match specifically. Okay, great. There you go.
And then we're all wrong as Makuga.
Underestimate Drew.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a category for him to succeed in. It would be Will Smith and rom-coms. But those are the only two slices I'm confident in him actually getting questions, to be honest.
Oh, it's my final performance. So I hope you enjoy. Well, that's sad to hear, but I definitely will love it a little bit more. I'll treasure it a little bit more because I've always loved seeing Brianne Chandler involved in any way. I love seeing her matches and her entrances, and she's definitely a cornerstone of the movie Trivia Schmoedown, from her first female heel, to running the Patreon, being on the desk. She's done it all, and I'm very sad to see it end. And I would also say never say never. Never want to rule it completely out. Take some time away, take some time off, and you never know. I'm just happy to see you still here in the chats. I hope we get to see you around here at least, because we love you. We love you greatly, and hopefully you won and you go out on a high. That's what I'm hoping for. And if you don't, well, fuck them, right? That's what I always say.
Yeah. I'm hoping that it's like this, even if this is like your final like Schmoedown match, I would love for you to be involved in the future as an advisor or a manager or a commissioner once live events and stuff like that happen again, just because you are such an amazing like actual like awesome talent. So I don't want to lose it, but that's just my own selfish fan mentality.
Yeah, we're very selfish.
Yeah.
Stay for us.
Just stay for us. That's right. We
just the three of us.
There you
Yes.
go. That's right.
That's all you need, girl. That's all you need. And the cat.
And the cat.
Okay, well, that's going to be a fun one. I believe it comes down the mid-month. That should be fun. It's the final. Okay. All right. Well, she's saying it. And so I'm going to take that match when it comes out. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to treasure each and every last second then at this point. Brianne, we salute you. We love you. Okay, we got a few more things left we could talk about before we wrap this up. We can get some questions from the chat. If you want to start throwing them in there, we can start counting them up. And Kelsey, if you would just take a look and try to, if they're not Streamlabs, just kind of maybe just note them down. Chill style. I'm going to call Anita doing a chill job there. We will say the last thing we talk about. Before we do that, though, we do have the the horror free-for-all coming up on Skybound for Halloween. 2 competitors per faction. I can't wait for this. I watched. I don't know if you guys watched the horror exhibition they had. Some great competition there. Who do we think is going to be in this? Let's make our bets here. Who do we think is going to be in the horror match? And this is not where we're going to see more competitors, by the way. Like we're talking the way I was talking about before. We have these matches. Everyone's are coming up. Let's start with the Droogs. We have of course in the Droog. I'll read them out because I know we can't remember everybody always. Got Alonzo, Whitney, Eric Barnes, Rebecca McKendry, Bonnie Somerville, Brandon Hanna, Jader, JTE, and Scott Mance. I think you got to have Whitney in there, right? Don't you?
Obviously.
Yeah, I think you have to have Whitney.
Yeah.
And maybe with Whitney, I'm going to say...
Isn't Hannah a big horror guy?
I don't...
I haven't heard that, but...
I've
Conversations.
I think he's a horror guy.
Could be.
That honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Warfather snuck in there either.
Eric Barnes, Warfather, that could be a great second. And I don't know what Alonzo is on horror at all. He kind of seems like he might be an old school creature feature kind of guy potentially. I know he's a Christmas guy. I know that much. Maybe he'll go for Halloween also. If I had to make my money, though, if I had to put money on, I'd bet Whitney and Eric at Warfather. I think. What do you guys? Is that your call, Kels?
Yeah, I say Whitney and Hannah.
Whitney and Hannah. Okay, and Alice, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with War Daddy and Cybold.
Cybold, okay. That's true too. We could see Rebecca. We haven't seen Rebecca this year. I don't think she had a match this year. I don't believe she has. Has she?
She hasn't had a single match.
She hasn't had a single match. So maybe this is where she makes her debut. Who knows? I do think Brandon. That's true. The story on Sen was that Brandon got scared in the Shining hotel room by ghosts. So maybe he will or not. But maybe he will. So
Party J agrees with me.
Party J's huge horror fan. Okay.
Yeah, I've had conversations with him about that. So
maybe he will. But I think maybe it depends on if he's too much of the team tournament also.
Yeah, that is also valid.
So, all right. How about the Den? You got Tom, who seemed like he would make a lot of sense. But Tom, Paul, Sean Sullivan, Rachel Silvestrini, Ben Goddard, Alex, Saul, Brett Sheridan, James White, or Vanessa Fitzsimmons. I almost want to say Goddard gets in on this. I don't know how he is in horror, but I almost feel like he regrets not going in the singles tournament this year because it was rookie. He was like rookie of the year, and all of a sudden now it's not him anymore. It's down to Barbarian versus Collins at this point. Does he throw his hat in the ring and say, "I want to perform again. I want to get in on this. Maybe get in the horror time just for that"? I don't know anybody else who's specifically horror. Maybe Tom sounds, but that's more of a character. I don't know if he really likes horror or not. But my guess, I think, would be Tom and Ben. But I could be wrong. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I honestly don't know. No one in the Den like screams at me like horror fan, maniac, things like that. I mean, I always like to see certain competitors that I consider close friends play. So like, I love to see Rachel. Rachel would be awesome just because any excuse to see her makes me happy. I could totally see Ben stepping up for it. I feel like he is dying to play again, and so that would absolutely make sense. I'm torn. I really don't know who I think is going to be. I think it really could be whoever. I think whoever is going to do it is going to have to study special for it. If that makes sense. I don't think there's any go to. That's my person.
Okay. All right. I get that. What about you? Any predictions from you, Alex, on that?
I'm completing my list as we speak.
Oh, you are? Okay.
So prepared.
Because I feel like me being me, I'm gonna forget, if I don't write it down. My money's on, honestly, two ladies. I was thinking James White initially, and then I scratched out Tom, but I'm like, F it, Vanessa. I miss Vanessa. We haven't really seen Vanessa do all that much this season, so I would love for her to sneak in. I could be wrong, but maybe it's just wishful thinking. And again, F it. I'm gonna say Rachel Silvestrini.
Okay. All right. That's a good potential possibility. All right. I'll move on to the dungeon. This is an interesting one for me, the dungeon. I'll tell you who I want to see. I need somebody in the chat. I want to see Andres Gallego in that. I do want to see him in that. I'm hoping that Andres is in that. I know he likes horror films.
That would be fun.
Talk about it for her. So I'd love to see Andres, and it could be anybody else. But my guess, I don't know, it would be Drew or would it be Vinny Mancuso? I almost want to see the ice pick in there. And I feel like I don't even know if he likes horror, but I feel like that's something he would like. But I don't know much more about Owen Rugen. I don't know much about him, so I don't know if he's a horror guy or not either. So I guess without knowing everything, we don't know all these different competitors and everything else. I think I could go with Andres and Vinny. Although, I'm going to go with Andres and Vinny. That's what I'll go with. What do you guys think?
Here's once again a faction where I'm really unsure of who it would be. I'm good with saying Andres. That would be awesome. I want to see him play again. And I agree with Dean. I'm going to go with Video Drew. I think, any excuse to see Video Drew play. I can totally see her loving horror and studying it up for it too. So I think that's those two I would say.
Okay. Video Drew, hands down. She's been very vocal about it. Horror is a strength of hers. Horror, thriller, crime, tomato, the fusion of the three is her strength. I also have to say Vinny. Vinny also considers horror thriller to be a in monster movies to be considered to be strengths as well. So honestly, because of that alone, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up slipping in. So two V's, Video Drew and Vinny Mancuso.
Fair enough. So that's my threesome. I wouldn't be surprised at any of those three. I think any combination of that, Vinny, Andres, and Video Drew as well. So either way, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. So all right, I'll move on to the Finstock Exchange in the Horror-thon. Is this where we see Gray Drake? Potentially.
I have no idea if she's a horror person. So
no clue.
I think we see the Barbarian hands down. I think Barbarian just loves playing.
And I see Riley loves horror. So I could totally see Riley being one of the people put in. It would not surprise me one bit. So Riley and Barbarian, Leo says in the chat, totally makes sense to me.
That is my call would be Riley and Barbarian as well. I could see Gray Drake being slipped in one of those times. Awesome. It's just one of those things, you want to have someone who hasn't played very much as well. Gray hasn't played, so give her a chance to play. The kind of place you put her in. Sabrina does love horror too, though. Sabrina Ramirez does love horror, and she only got the one match. That could be it too.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's a tough thing. It depends. I know Craig just loves playing. I think he's put at any exhibition match, and he's going to put himself in there if he can. So he'll probably fight for it. But you're right. Riley loves it too. Riley loves horror. So Riley was in some of the horror exhibitions, so I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think it's not going to be Ben Bateman. I think it's not going to be John Roca. I think it's not going to be Dan Merle. I think it's not going to be Milana or Emily Rose or Cody. So if I had to come down to it, my instinct is saying Barbarian and Riley.
That's my instinct too.
I wouldn't be surprised. If Sabrina or Gray snuck in for one of them.
I would love it if they did. We need some more ladies playing.
That might be exactly the reason why we do maybe have some female competitors in there. What do you think, Alex?
For exchange, honestly, I think a new person is going to sneak in there. I think it's going to be Sabrina Ramirez and Cody Hall.
Cody Hall's a potential.
I don't know. I just I really like Cody Hall, and I'm like, how has he not played again? He was neck and neck in one of my favorite matches ever, up against Lon Harris in his debut match, and that was fantastic. And he was wearing like the Looney Tune shirt and everything. Yep. And I was like, my boy, I like this guy. And so I was like, you know what? I'm a fan already. So I don't know why. My gut says him, so why not?
Fair enough. All right, how about corruption? Got Kalinowski and Allison. You got Mark Edward Hoyk, Elliot Dewberry, Laura Kelly, Klee Wiggins, Marisol, Rick Ramos, Claudia Dolph, and Adam Collins. Another one which I don't really know. I mean, I know Mark Edward Hoyk's been away, some personal issues, I know, but he's a big horror kind of guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. I don't know about Dewberry and horror. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to be Laura Kelly. It's just Star Wars. I think that's Star Wars in it for her.
Yeah.
Does Mike and Chance decide to go into this kind of thing? I could see Chance.
I could see Chance. It wouldn't surprise me if Chance did. Mike, I don't see it.
Adam Collins, he likes his horror also. Could Adam Collins step in?
Yeah.
There's a guy listed, Rick Ramos, who hasn't played yet. Is he still on there? I don't even know if he's still on there. Was he dropped or not? I don't even know. But he's another one we don't know anything about. Claudia Dolph is another one who hasn't played very much. I do think I don't know. Who do you guys predict?
It's really hard. I don't know necessarily who would have it be the strengths. I'm just gonna go with Collins and Ellison Chance. I'm I'm sold on that. It could totally be anyone else, but that's what I'm going with her.
Okay. What do you think, Alex?
I'm gonna go with some mystery people. Okay, I'm just thinking, you know what? IG people ish kind of love. They like movies like with monsters and weirdness. And you know what? What are movies with a lot of monsters and weirdness? Star Wars. So I'm gonna go with Laura Kelly.
Wow.
I don't why not? I don't know.
It's a hard one.
It would be fun. I just it's more like wishful thinking more than like practicality, honestly. And I'm gonna go with like Klee Wiggins. I loved her, and I don't know. I just, again, it comes down to wishful thinking, not realistic in my case.
Fair enough. All right. I think it's not going to be Chance. I think Chance is too busy. He wants to study for IG, so studying for team. I don't think he wants to put it away right now to do the horror thing. So I don't think he does it. I think we're going to see. I want to go with Adam Collins because he's in that kind of, I want to play still every time if I can. And I think I'm going to say Mark Edward Hoyk. I think he's going to want to, it's a digital thing. He can pull in for one night. I think he might be good for him to do. I'm going to go with Collins and Mark Edward Hoyk. So, all right. Let's move on to the quirky marks here. This is an interesting category as well. I think there's no way Bibiani's not going to be in this. I don't care how many matches he's playing. Bibbs loves horror. This is built for him.
Yeah, but we also have Perry and Haley though too.
I know that's who I got.
That's who I had is Perry and Haley.
Yeah, both Perry and Haley, even though Bibbs won the horror exhibition.
Yeah, because he's got
and he will continue to play.
I'm saying no way. I say it's one of the girls and Bibbs. I don't know which one of your Perry or Haley. Maybe that's it. Maybe Perry plays a singles tournament. Maybe they play Witching Power, and then Haley gets the horror thing, and then she gets the horror thing with Bibbs. That's my prediction. So I'll go Haley and Bibbs. I can't see Bibbs stepping aside for this. He does everything he can to do horror matches.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely he's very vocal about it. It is 100% a strength. He loves it. It's bye-bye. He's just played so much, and I just want Haley and Perry so much.
You want it. Is that going to happen? That's
Yeah, but I honestly think that if Bibbs were to step down for anyone, if Haley was like, "Hey, can I compete in this one?" Bibbs would 100% be like, "By all means."
Bibbs
is a gentleman. Bibbs is 100% a gentleman for both these. You got
a horror match and a free-for-all match, which is Bibbs' speciality. I think there's
I stand by what I said. Okay.
You can. I just don't think and he is a gentleman. He probably would, but I don't think she's going to ask. I think this is his domain. I would be shocked if Bibbs doesn't play in this kind of match. But, all right, fine.
Or maybe it's Haley and Bibbs.
That's my prediction. That was my prediction. I think Perry, like I said, Perry gets a single tournament.
Perry and Haley.
Perry gets a tournament. Haley gets a match. Perry and Haley get the tag team the team tournament. And then Haley gets the horror free-for-all. So,
is it going to be live or no?
I don't know. They haven't said either way, I don't think. Interesting enough.
William's got a good point. Having Bibbs call the match would be fun because he's just
maybe.
That'd be fun. Make it fun.
But I still say Bibbs in there. I can't be convinced otherwise. I mean,
fine, Paul.
Until
your reasoning is just okay.
There's nothing wrong, but it's just.
We don't blame you for thinking the way you do.
Thank you. Let's go on to the rock stars. Andreyko, Snyder, Damon, Howard, Vejvoda, Del Rio, Habon, Gertler, Quevedo, or Chris Jericho. All right, I'll start off and say that Andreyko is in. I don't know who the other people are, but Andreyko is the one that loves
Jericho.
He's the one who said he wanted the horror. He wants the horror division. He was the one who picked the horror division. I think Andreyko was definitively in. As far as everything else goes, that's the second person I know. Is this where we see Stacey Howard again? I don't know what she is in horror. I don't know if she likes horror. I don't think she likes horror as far as I know. But I don't think you see Snyder. I think this is kind of out of his thing. I wouldn't be surprised about Vejvoda maybe. Yeah, I can see him being a horror guy. Or maybe David Del Rio gets another shot. I don't know what any of them like.
I honestly don't know who could.
So my guess would be Andreyko and either Vejvoda or Howard. Those are my predictions.
Narrow it down to two, my dude. Pick two. Pick two.
Andreyko and Vejvoda. That's my guess.
I'm going to go with Andreyko because I do agree. I think he is the most, for sure, absolutely going to be in there. I am going to go with Snyder, though, because talking to him before Chill, he loves murder mysteries and true crime and things like that. I do as well. And I also am realizing horror actually that has a lot of crossover. So maybe he watched a little bit more horror than we did. I mean, one of them is before the crime happens and one is during the crime happening. Yeah. So maybe he watches a little bit more of it than we suspect. So that's the only reason I'm going Snyder.
I almost feel like Roxy's leaning on them so much, Andreyko and Snyder. So I feel like they want to get somebody else in the faction a little bit. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, also true.
So. I'm gonna base my guesses. Mark and Draco, absolutely. To me, that felt like a shoe-in. But also, I'm gonna go with to me one of the most underrated competitors on Schmoedown, David Del Rio. If we want to talk about competitors that are the definition of underrated,
he's been stroking that fire for a while.
Every time he has a match, it's so good. It's down to the wire. It's fantastic. He went into overtime with Chance in a round one match. So great. It was fantastic. He's pretty fantastic. He's like, yes. But I'm going to go with Del Rio just because, again, hopeful thinking.
Okay. I get that.
Putting it out there. Just putting it out to the universe.
Okay. All right. I gotcha. All right, let's move on to. We had a super chat earlier. I must have missed. I just say it came in now. We'll just say it now. Wipe your cords from Christopher Atkinson. Thank you, Christopher. Wipe your cords with a mix of white vinegar and water, and no more chewing. So that's to help you with your little cat issue and the wires. So thank you, Christopher, for that. Sorry I missed it so later on.
Thank you.
Swag.
Makuga.
Yeah. What's the answer? Who's not going to be in this horror then?
But it would be so funny if he was, though.
Polyama, Lon Harris, Chandru Makuga, Liz Shannon Miller, Adam Holovic, RB3, Andres Cabrera, Sean Gerber, and Frank Moran. I got no idea here, guys. Not a clue. Nobody in there screams horror. I think Lon Harris actually knows horror better than he showed against Collins. He has said that he knows it better, so I wouldn't be surprised if he threw his hat in the ring. But I don't know. Adam Holovic strikes me as the kind of guy who'd like horror. But I don't. Again, this is all completely based on my read on who they are. I've never seen anything either way. So I'm gonna guess. I think Liz Shannon Miller stays in the singles ring. I think she stays in her lane for now, but maybe she does too. I don't know. I'm gonna say. What about Andres Cabrera? Does he like horror? I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
All right, I'm gonna since I don't have any idea, I'm gonna go Lon and Adam Holovic. That's my guess.
Okay, I'm gonna go Lon because I do agree. Having talked with Lon, he is a horror guy. Sometimes the movies you haven't seen just come up. Sometimes you know what I mean. Like that was John's Roca's problem with westerns the other day. So it just sometimes the movies you haven't seen come up. I think he is strong in horror, so I say Lon. And just for the entertainment value and storyline and stuff like that, I am going to say Makuga. It's not going to happen, but I'm going to say Makuga because I think it would be very entertaining.
It could be.
And he could guess to pull all these answers out of his butt and somehow win it, and it would be fantastic.
It could be the case for pure entertainment value. They do it. I could see that. But I don't know. It's hard to say. What about you, Al?
F it. You know, I'm going to go with Liz Shannon Miller. I don't know. Again, projecting. But also... what's in horror movies? Crime. And you know what? Also supernatural stuff. And you know something Ace and I have bonded over? The Underworld series. Because I know the Underworld series better than he does. And that is a horror franchise. And as a result, I think that he's going to be the pick for the horror one.
Is Underworld a horror franchise?
It is. It's about vampires and
vampire doesn't mean horror.
Yeah, but I mean it has horror elements. But I mean it's like very specifically to horror movies. It's about vampires actively trying to kill humans. I mean there's elements of like it is like a horror action adventure, but it's still horror.
Yeah. I could consider it more of a thriller, but okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean I also defined The Lighthouse as 100% a horror movie. So
Yeah. Okay. All right, I get that. All right. Well, we got the usual suspects next. On there, we got Andrew Ghai, Janine, Matt Atchity, Cameron Rice, Jen Kemp, Ethan Irwin, Molly Damon, Sabina Graves, Robert Montano, and Doug Benson. Is this where we see Doug Benson make his debut as the celebrity Schmoedown competitor? I don't know if he likes horror. I don't really know much about him. As a comedian, does a lot of podcasts for him, but maybe this is where he steps in. I know it's not going to be Andrew Ghai. I don't think he's a big horror guy. Janine, maybe. Irwin, maybe. But I feel like this is where you're going to plug somebody else in besides your number ones there, maybe. My guess is Atchity and Benson. That's my guess.
I have no idea. I'll go with Atchity. I could totally see that happening. Sure, Benson. I mean, they recruited Benson. They haven't used him yet. Maybe they could throw him in there. So,
yeah. How about Robert Montano? I think he actually does like horror. I think I've heard him say that too. Robert Montano does like horror.
I think you're right.
I'm
terrible at keeping track of that.
Maybe I'll say Robert. I'm going to switch mine to Robert Montano and Doug Benson. Any thoughts, Alex?
I was honestly, my guess for this one is probably going to be Janine and Robert Montano. Honestly, I know Janine. As far as I know, horror movies aren't a huge strength, but I know a lot of her favorite horror movies, such as Scream, are horror movies that she's mentioned. She loves a lot of coming of age horror, that kind of thing. But also, if Resident Evil, that whole franchise is horror, 100% Underworld is horror. So,
fair enough. That is all the factions. I believe I didn't miss any, did I? Let's see. I got through them. So I think that's where we will wrap it up. If you got any questions from the chat, I know you've been doing some Streamlabs here and there, no more recently. If there's any questions in the chat, why don't we plug our material, and you guys we'll answer anything you guys have in between that time. By the time we're done with plugging material, we'll answer those questions. Alice, where can the folks find you? What are you doing?
You can find me right here at real_AlexMac. You can also find me participating in Cinema Bias every single Tuesday at 10 o'clock Central. Video Drew and I dive into a movie that one or both of us have not seen. I have never seen The Blair Witch Project. Guess what we're covering on Tuesday? Blair Witch Project. Also, next week, we're going to be having a Quirky Mercs themed episode. And I have some really great competitors. So I'm excited to get that going.
All right, good. You never know.
Never know. Well, he is a Schmoedown, so you never know if strings could be pulled.
I'm retired. Anyway, Kelsey, where can the good folks find you?
You can find me laying in bed watching Hocus Pocus, because by that definition given to me, that's a horror movie, because it's witches wanting to eat children's souls.
It is horror. It's
not a horror movie.
No, it is technically, according to its director, it's considered family horror movie. Just like Scooby-Doo, like Halloween. Adam's Family, like the animated movies where they focus on like zombies and stuff. It's like family animated horror, just like Adam's Family. It's considered family horror.
It's a kid's horror, I guess.
Yeah,
I took a horror creative writing class. They were giving us the definition of horror, and none of these things are the definition of horror given to me in that college creative writing class. Suspense is when it's quiet, you're afraid of things coming at you. Thriller means there's a time frame. So like if you don't get something done by a certain amount of time, something bad's going to happen. And horror is when you sympathize with the bad guys, such as Frankenstein, things like that, because they have trauma in their life that cause them to have the events. So that's like the textbook definition of horror.
Underworld.
Underworld, you don't sympathize with them.
You 100% sympathize with Selena's character.
But like,
her goal is to save people.
Okay, her goal is to do something in time to save people. Thriller.
Yeah, but she's also like actively trying to like kill things. It's very vast. I was taught it by the horror action adventure by my film studies teacher as an example of like a merged genre. But I mean, just like it was like talked about in Creed movie. I got into a debate about the movie Creed, and they were like, Creed should not be a drama, and I was like, it's 100% a drama sports movie. Warrior is a drama and a sports movie, but it doesn't mean because it's a sports movie it can't be a drama. It's both. It can be both, just like
it can be multiple genres. It's just
it's a merge of both. Whether or not it's
more happening in a movie doesn't make it a horror movie.
It just because there's more family aspects than horror, it's moot point. There's horror aspects of it, and that by definition makes it a horror film. Is it a 90? Does it have to be 90% a horror movie? No, but it can be a family horror. It can be an action horror, or it can be a thriller horror. But it's also the definition of horror movies really also varies not only by professor, but between critics. You should hear Whitney Seibold and Bibbs argue about the definition of horror movies on their podcast.
One thing, Weston, is Kate Beckinsale's not, she's the protagonist. She's not the villain in that story. So therefore, that's not the person I'm talking about sympathizing with. I'm talking about who she's battling as the person.
So Lucian.
Yeah.
And you do sympathize with him the entire time, though, because his purpose is trying to do this in order to save the woman he loves. And you actively sympathize with him the entire time, and you are, by the end of it, you are actually and there's a reason why he gets a sequel, his character. Well, prequel, technically.
I have not lost control. I'm just really entertained by this. That's why I've control.
Let's just say, I think the difference here is film studies versus creative writing studies. Right?
I'm going to interject real quick.
That's where my class is.
I actually agree with both of you. You both have points that are valid points. I kind of lean a little bit more towards Alice than that. I think horror has a definite more broader sense of genre, and our kids' horror films or our family horror films are more like scares. They're not really horror. They're just in that realm of monsters and fear, dealing with some kind of fear. Witches are scary. Witches eating children's souls are scary to children. Potentially. Now, is Hocus Pocus a really horror? It's more of a horror comedy, if anything else, to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
but it's still a horror. It's still in that realm.
It varies. It's genre bending, just like Army of Darkness. I consider it a comedy more than a horror movie, but it's also, by definition, directed Sammy Raimi. He's like, it's 100% a horror comedy, not a comedy horror. So it's all about genre bending. No great movie is only one genre, just like no great book.
I am not arguing that fact. I just feel like that category, it's not one of the categories that it is.
I'll have to, over, bring this back to Schmoedown. I'm going to contact PJ Campbell and see if he would write Hocus Pocus in a horror category. I'll see what to say.
It could. I mean, like, honestly, it could be. You know, I mean, like, if Creed 1 and 2 could be in both drama and sports, technically no reason why it couldn't.
All right, we're wrapping it up. Wrapping up that discussion.
Anyway, you can find me at Kelsey Can Sign on Twitter and Instagram.
Exactly. There you go. You can find me at _TheNewsU on Twitter. You can find me every week here on Call to Action Live, usually, and on Chill to Action, which tomorrow I'll play the little clip. That's right. We got Sam Levine and Rachel Cushing. That should be a great one. I really love that combo, and it should be very, very, very much fun. But you can also find me on a bunch of different shows recently. You can find me on PLT Projects. I did my show about V today. You can find me on Action Industries, producing Ben and Drew's shows, as well as hosting Class Action, usually weekly when Eric Jarvis is feeling a little better. He's a little under the weather, which is why we had to cancel this week. But also the General Debate. And all those good, fun shows. I think that's all we have. I have a couple of questions that we will get to. There's a quick super chat right there. Christopher Atkinson, been there all night. I haven't really seen you before in the chat. I hope, maybe I have. If I have, I'm sorry I missed you. But welcome to the show. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. You will come back. $5. Would Exorcist 3 have been even better if Ed Harris played Brad Dourif's role as a Gemini killer? I say yes. You're never going to get an argument for me that Ed Harris would play a role better than anybody. I love Brad Dourif both, though. I do love Brad Dourif. But yeah, absolutely, Ed Harris makes any movie better. Christopher, I actually didn't really talk to you at some point afterward. We should talk about some things that go on. Kelsey, have you even seen the Exorcist 3?
I have not. I've seen the first one. Wasn't a fan. Have not gone past that.
Okay. Alex, have you watched Exorcist 3?
That one in particular, no. I've only seen the first one. Scratch that. I have seen The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That one was actually really good. That one is great. The first one, I was just like terrified because there's literally a scene of a crucifix. OnlyFans, that cat ass. 1, 2, 3, coming in hot. Get your tear today. But yeah, there's like literally a scene of Reagan, her character, where she like stabs her genitalia, her genitals with a crucifix. So it's like, it's like, like terrifying.
All right, Wes and I were doing this or that, and I assume Underworld or Resident Evil.
Don't like either.
If I had to pick like the Underworld,
because it's so campy and ridiculous, and I like that though. And also, like my little 13-year-old emo kid self was obsessed with the first was obsessed with the first Underworld movie. It's a vibe, but I've only seen the first Resident Evil movie, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. I think I've seen all of them, but they all are kind of forgettable to me. They're fine. I probably would pick Underworld, I think, only because I think I did like that first one a little more than the rest of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's about it. Okay. Well, Malcolm's middle of the video. Thanks, Malcolm. What is your favorite superhero TV show? Go, Kelsey.
It's Smallville. I want to rewatch it already. I mean, give me an excuse. Someone needs to do like a Nerd Chronic or Video Chronic kind of like trivia thing on it, so I have an excuse to like binge watch it like 3 times because I want to watch it again.
Okay. It's not Harley Quinn, huh?
I like the Harley Quinn animated, but it just it doesn't have Lex in it, and it doesn't have.
Actually, there is Lex. Okay,
but
there is
not Not
Michael
my Lex.
Rosenbaum Lex.
He is Lex. He is the only Lex I have liked so far, including the Harley Quinn animated. He's fine. I just
want to put this out there. Giancarlo Esposito voices Lex Luthor in the animated series. So, bam. Just putting it out there.
So, yeah, we don't talk about.
All right, Alex, do you have a favorite superhero TV show?
Let's see. I've been Mindhunter is definitely a favorite as far as like limited series. We haven't really seen all that much of it. I'm really loving The Boys.
Mindhunter?
It's a superhero show.
So, is it not? Yeah, Mindhunters, the one where they interview serial killers on Netflix.
That's the superhero show?
No, it's not a superhero.
Your favorite superhero TV show?
Oh, they're detectives. They're pretty much.
I was very confused.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah, I completely misunderstood that question. I thought it was like general, like any TV show. Never mind, forget me. The Harley Quinn animated series is probably my favorite superhero based show. I like The Boys. I don't love The Boys, but I really like it though.
I like The Boys. I really enjoy The Flash with my son. My son loves The Flash. I like watching The Flash with him. It's been a good one. If I had to go all old school here, I was a big fan growing up, and I know I'm aging myself here, but I love the old Batman 66 show. And Palm Zoom, all that stuff. That's probably my favorite.
Too campy for me.
I get it. When you're 8 years old, though, it's not campy at all.
So ridiculous. It's campy in a wonderful way, though.
Yeah, it is. So I'll go that route. All right, let's see. Dean Morgan with the news of Lion King 2 happening. What's your favorite Disney sequel? I'm assuming you mean animated sequel or live action remake animated sequel. But saying Disney is such a.
Yeah, and can we also mute Jake, please?
Can you mute Jake? Oh boy, what did Jake say? I can get down there. Oh, wow.
Very justified.
Oh.
It's not justified.
No, I mean justified for you.
Thank you, bro.
There's for everywhere.
All right. That's a good question.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
Disney movie fans.
I like watching Disney movies. I don't know much of the sequels, to be honest with you. I did like The Lion King 1.5. I liked that. That was kind of cool. Incredibles 2 was kind of cool. Frozen 2 was kind of cool.
Oh, we're talking about like actual sequels. Never mind.
Yeah. Yes. I like Aladdin 3. That was a good one.
There was this awesome, really great movie called Aladdin, King of Thieves.
Yeah.
About Aladdin's dad, which is really fun. I loved it. I was like obsessed. I was like, oh my gosh, he's a saddie. He's so pretty. He's so beautiful with his like beard and mustache. I was like, oh, what is this feeling? So sudden and new.
What is this feeling?
I don't understand what's happening, but I like it. Maybe you're like 8 years old. That one. I also loved Lion King. I also loved Lion King 2, though. About Simba's daughter falling in love with Scar's potential son.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really reveals that, but they say that they are related. So
yeah, kind of.
So that makes them siblings or potential cousins. So. Okay. Romeo and Juliet.
I mean, that happens all the time. So.
Cousins.
And Leo Logan, favorite music biopic performance, hands down, man. Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. Rami Malek aim Freddie Mercury in that movie.
I have to agree, especially the Live 8 scene. Yeah. That scene right there, just that right there is my pick. So
people could argue that they don't like the movie, and I get that. Whatever, I like the movie, but Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury was probably the best performance I'd seen as a music biopic. So.
Val Kilmer from The Doors.
That's a good one too. That's a fun one.
It's not a fun one. It's a great one. It's not a fun movie to watch. It's a hard movie to watch. It's very difficult.
I had a fun time with it.
That's like the saying Son of Sam was such a fun serial killer. Like, what the fuck? No!
It was fun. Son of Sam was a good movie. It was a good, fun movie, too.
Son of Sam?
Yeah.
The serial killer? What are you on?
Okay, Party J. Here's a food question. What food best describes you and what type of food do you dislike the most? Dislike.
The second is easy for me, ketchup. I think ketchup's disgusting and should be ended. But the food that best describes me, haggis. I don't know.
I love haggis, actually.
I love haggis too.
Yeah.
It's the reason I go to Scottish festivals. I'm like, okay, it's time to get my yearly haggis, and I'm good, and that'll be good for a year.
I will say dislike tuna in any way, shape, or form. I hate tuna.
I had tuna today.
I can't even live around tuna without. Like honestly, I smell tuna, vomit. I hate it so much. My best food, it probably describes me pretty well, as cheese. I'm a cheesy guy. I get it. I am very, but I love my cheese too, so I'll take it. What about you?
I'm in the same wheelhouse. Honestly, if I were a food, I'd probably be like a really awesome black bean peppered hot sauce covered cheese quesadilla. I mean, honestly, I don't need chicken. Honestly, I don't need the beef or anything. I just need like a good amount of black beans, some peppers, some sauteed veggies in there. Oh, yeah, and like blend, whatever.
All right, we'll take one more question. Like Canada Rocks, have you guys seen any 1980s or pre-1980s live Disney movies like That Darn Cat or The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes starring a really, really Kurt Russell? Yeah, I saw a few of them. I believe I think Black Hole was pre-80s, wasn't it? The Black Hole was pre-80s. I remember watching that as a kid. Yeah, I used to watch all the 70s movies on TV. Those were good. That Darn Cat was a good one. I used to like that when I was growing up. But how about you guys? What do you think?
It's kind of been established I'm not big on kid family-ish type films for the most part, so I probably have not seen any of them. Or if I did, I don't remember.
Okay. Alex, any of you?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, like, I was a real big fan of, Freaky Friday, the original one with Jodie Foster. The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes with Kurt Russell. I think that's a fun one. It's fine. That one, the original Parent Trap. It's also a nice little lighthearted one as well. Gotta love horrible gender stereotypes.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, so much fun. Not at all horrible to our society as a whole. Yay! But yeah.
I also really quickly throw in there, they had a couple of like the 50s, and Disney had these Davy Crockett movies that my dad got me as like a double VHS said. I loved those Davy Crockett movies too. I used to watch them nonstop. So those
is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang a Disney?
I believe so.
I think so.
Because one of my favorite movies of all time though is Mary Poppins. That's like
probably my favorite because I've seen it.
I love that movie.
I like Mary Poppins.
So yeah, you can go with that one. Absolutely.
I mean, my favorite movie when I was 7 was Starship Troopers. So that actually kind of tell you like what I watched as a kid.
Well, I watched that movie as a kid, and I rewatched it for the first time in like many years. I didn't laugh once.
Really?
What?
I was just like, Luke kept checking in on me, being like, "You laughing yet?" And he's like, it's like almost like that episode from like How I Met Your Mother, where like Ted is like waiting for his girlfriend to be like, "Wow, Star Wars."
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of felt like that a little bit, and I was like, "It's cool."
There you go.
I respect it though.
All right. Shaggy Dog was fun too. I do remember the Shaggy Dog now that I think about it. I haven't thought about it in a long, long time. But those are good ones too. Alex hates good movies. Shocker. Wow.
Whatever. That's rude, but whatever.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's how we will end today. I believe it's just over 2 hours now. Thank you so much. If I missed your question in the chat, I apologize. I'll get you next time. No more stream lounge or anything like that. We've already plugged everything. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, give us a comment, tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you agreed with, what you didn't agree with, why am I an idiot? I know I am. It's okay. You can tell me. And also, you also listen to us on audio. We're on audio podcast everywhere. So get that going as well.
And rate it.
And rate it. That's right.
Rate it on like Apple Podcasts and stuff, because that'd be amazing.
It helps us out. And we appreciate you guys.
Please.
So, all right, guys, take care. Again, come back tomorrow night to see us chill action with Rachel and Sam Levine. This will be fun. Otherwise, we will see you next time. We salute you guys. Take care.
And wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask, motherfucker. Wear a mask.